Hello. Hello,
Now then,
mate.
mate, yeah,
You
I'm good to
good?
you.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. I think my pulse rate has been all over the place the last few days with what's been going on. It's been a little bit mad, isn't it? So yeah, it's been a bit crazy. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. To be perfectly honest with you, like it's been pretty epic these last couple of days. Yeah. I don't know what you're. I mean, we'll wait for Rob to join us. Like he'll be with us in a second, sort of thing. But yeah, we'll go ahead and make a start, obviously, because Rob will jump in when he gets here. So welcome to Unbreakable Strength Stories, World's Strongest Man Special Part 2. Obviously, we did a session a few days ago. We sort of talked about the groups, what gave some of our predictions, what we thought was going to happen. And we'll kind of touch on those in a little bit. And then once we've gone through that, we'll obviously talk about the results that kind of came out last night, obviously after the stone off. What the people that are through to the final, and also some predictions around what we think is going to be in the final. I mean, before we kind of dive into it, there was a couple of kind of people I wanted to mention. I've been kind of glued to Big Loz's and Lizzie's kind of coverage over the last couple of days. It's been pretty awesome, to be perfectly honest with you. I think there's been tons and tons of people, literally thousands of people. There's like 4,000 people on a Wednesday afternoon logging in to kind of watch the coverage, and obviously Strength Archives and all things Strongman as well. They've kind of certainly been keeping me in the picture of what's going on and where we are and all that sort of stuff. And it's the coverage has been pretty good, considering that we haven't got a live feed or a direct kind of thing sort of thing. But yeah, it's been a hell of a ride for the last couple of days for sure. Like, so I mean, mate, what's your kind of initial reactions to kind of how things have panned out
First
over
of
the last
all,
couple
I
of
find
days?
it really funny how, right, we could all just sit by ourselves on our phone and just refresh a spreadsheet, but it's so much more fun jumping on Loz's live and just talking to loads of people in the comments, and while them two are talking at the same time. That's really good. It's like everyone just gets together and just has like a little chin wag about it all, isn't it? I absolutely love that side of things. I thought it was quality. I must have wasted about
Yeah.
near enough a full day of my whole life just listening to Loz and Liz the past 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, I put up like a joke post of a picture with like a guy with an earpiece in the other day. It's like I was walking around with like my pods in, trying to do work and all that sort of stuff, listening to them in the background, kind of what's going on and all that sort of stuff. Like it's it's been great. I mean, for me personally, it's been one of the most exciting World's Strongest Mans to date. Certainly in recent history, just purely because of the quality of the athletes that are there. It's I mean, it's been said on several occasions before. In the past you've had a handful of guys that could realistically win it, but you could almost pick the group winners and almost kind of relatively easily predict who was going to get through to the final, or maybe even who would win it. You know what I mean? But I think this year has been a real game changer for me anyway. That depth of talent, the ability that all the 30 guys that have gone there have got, have just kind of mixed it up. It's it's been exciting stuff, and I'm sure that the final will be just the same sort of thing. So okay, I can't see Rob hasn't joined us yet, so I mean maybe we'll just kind of jump straight in. Oh, okay. Oh, I did. Hang on a minute. Let me just hang on a sec. Rob, bear with me a second. I'll invite him again.
There you go.
He'll be able to join us in a sec.
Hey! I thought you blackballed me. I was like, I'm here. Let me
Hello,
in.
mate. Hello, mate. No, sorry, mate. Sorry, I was started chatting with Dale and all that sort of stuff. So we just kind of did a little bit of an intro and kind of talked a bit generally about what's happened over the last couple of days. How exciting it was and all the rest of this sort of stuff. So I mean, you got any initial thoughts on what you've seen in the last couple of days?
Fucking wild cards there. And then I think two things. We were 50% right, and we were also 50% right when we said we'd probably be wrong.
I only got
yeah,
two.
one way or the other.
No, I'm going to say I got 3 on the heads. I got 1 and 5 exactly right, and group 2 happened exactly how we played it out.
Yeah. All I will say is, right at the end, I did say about this South Africa geezer, and then boom, he's in like Flynn.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if it was Loz or Liz that really were chatting on their podcast, and they were saying that they spoke to him because they did those like meet the athletes kind of presentations, and I know they kind of spoke to him, and he was saying himself that he deliberately had stayed off of social media because he wanted to be a surprise, and he's turned up, and he was. Let's be honest. I mean, we all, the point you just made there, Rob, we were all a little bit like, not really too sure, don't know that much about him, and that's on us to learn and to kind of get our heads around it. Like, but he certainly turned up to party, yeah. So, I mean, maybe probably the easiest thing to do is we just kind of quickly drop into our predictions and sort of talk about what we thought was going to happen. I've got the groups here, sort of thing. So I think on group 1 we were all pretty similar. We all had Pablo Kay and Tom Stone.
I had them round the wrong way though. I had Pav second and Tom to win the group, but it was the other way round.
Yeah, and we go.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard lines for anyone in a stone off with Tom. So it's Bobby was up against it. I mean, I think he's, quite open. Stones is not his greatest event, and to kind of go up against the best guy in the world, in my opinion anyway, on stones was probably going to be a tough ask. So it kind of panned out the way that.
Realistically, Bobby needed to win that group. Well, no, he'd have had a better chance against Pavlo on the stones, but I still think Pavlo might have took that. But. Mate, do you know what I mean? You've got Europe's strongest man, the world's strongest man, and the guy who just come third at the Arnold Classic there in one group. Come on, man, it's
mad. I tell you who I thought was really good, and I shouldn't be surprised because he's been really good for years, is Constantine. He hasn't had a lot of form in the last 12 months, really, let's be honest, and he came in and he looked good. I mean, he had some good results there, and I think he surprised certainly me and a few other people as to how well he did, and maybe with a mix of different events. And it's true in all of these situations. The events play a massive part, don't they? I think he looked in another group. I mean, I've seen some analysis of if the person that came third, if they'd have been in another group, they'd have come first, and all these kind of things, these comparisons that everyone does.
Someone said that though about what was it? It was like, obviously Pavlo and Tom done the loading event. I'll give you an example. But then they were like, Novikov was 10 seconds slower than them two. But then you've also got to look at it, the person you're against. So like, if you're going against Pavlo, regardless of he's going to be fast. So you're going to try and keep up with him, aren't you? So I think a lot of the time it's actually the person you're up against. You know what I mean? I know it's great to compare all the groups and all this sort of stuff. I love all the statistics and that. But sometimes it's generally the person who's next to you, you're up against. That's the sort of level that you go to.
It's pointless looking across. It's pointless looking across the groups at how the times compared, because you're absolutely right. You run the race against the person you're competing against, not against the person 2 groups over that hasn't gone yet.
I mean, you can look at it in a couple of ways, can't you? Because I mean, like you got someone like Pablo that's going to be fast. Everyone knows he's fast. Actually, for some of this maybe a little bit slower guys, I would want to be up against him because he will pull you on because he's so fast. It makes you go more to keep up with him. So it's it's not always a bad thing, but I mean, I've heard Group 1 described as the group of death. Purely because of like what you were saying, buddy. Purely as you were saying, just the quality of the guys that were there, world's strongest man, Europe's strongest man, sort of thing. But I mean, I think Parr came back strong in the second day, and put some good results in fairness. Do you know what I mean? So he's kind of walking away from that from a good experience, sort of thing. So I think generally, I mean, sort of even kind of Eddie Williams had a good performance on the kettlebell toss and stuff like that. So I think they can all walk away from that
Parr
with some real positives. I think.
Yesterday, Mrs. Parr, he said he's fake happy.
that comment that you sent me a little while
Oh,
ago, mate, that was absolute class. That is literally just shut up.
Par is the world's strongest troll, 100%.
Yeah. It was just. I'll share it with you later on, Bob. It was just the way it was worded. It was literally just like.
So yeah, one planned out. Oh, I think we all imagined it planning out.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. So group 2, obviously we had a bit of a kind of change of plan right at the very start of the group. Bibby dropped out. You know, it is what it is, sort of thing. Like, but obviously that kind of threw in the Iceland strongest man into the mix. You know, obviously unexpected. You know, he kind of came in and you know, he did okay. You know, he was, you know, did quite well in the loading race, and you know, was kind of there or thereabouts in all the other events, sort of thing. So obviously he didn't fall into our predictions, did he, sort of thing. So you know, we can kind of, you know, not really linger on that one too much. So obviously I had Alexi to win, Luke and Gav to be in the stone off. I think we were all pretty close on that one. I mean, I know probably, you know, for yourself, Dale, you know, Gav's my friend, you know what I mean? So I'm, you know, massively invested in that as well, sort of thing. But, you know, it was heartbreaking to see the result of that, the stone off, you know, and how that kind of panned out. I mean, you know, both Luke and Gav are great.
The hardest part of it was because I spoke to Gav in the morning, and we knew we needed pretty much a perfect 2 events to get into the stone off. We knew that already. And then when he comes second in the corners, it was sort of like, wow, this is going this. I just had this feeling where the tide was changing a little bit. Obviously, Tom didn't do the best on the corners, which surprised quite a lot of us. But like I said to Gav on the phone yesterday, if there's any event in this world I could give you to get yourself where you need to be, it would be a throwing event like that, because anything like that is absolutely spot on. And he absolutely nailed it. I think, like, he was one of the fastest times, you know what I mean? He done absolutely unbelievable. So we kind of knew going that was a great event. But, and then it's an odd one because I'm in Cushy put me actually in a group chat for the Stoltman friends and family, right? And obviously Luke and Gav were going against each other, and there's like Stu Murray and like Tom and Luke's like relatives and like friends and all, and then I'm like the little quiet one in the group, and everyone's putting all these emojis to me and that, and I'm like, well, I don't know what to say. Good luck, everyone. I'm not joking. And then as soon as Gav got through, Dan Ipkiss basically messaged me and just went, "Oh, mate, oh," and I was like, "Mate, it's competition at the end of the day, isn't it? You know what I mean? May the best man win on the day." And unfortunately for Gav, Luke just pipped him, but Gav showed a massive heart in there, you know, and like we go back to this whole in any other group thing, things could have done this, things could have done that. At the end of the day, Gav now has proven to every single person on that competition floor, every person in this sport, that he is top of the food chain. He's not to be messed with, and he's only getting better season after season, and it's only going to keep climbing. And like, he has to take the positives out of that, and he will in about a week's time. I know what he's like. It'll take him a few days to sort of let it settle, because obviously it's a massive high that day, and then it's a massive low at the same time, because there's lots of things to work about. Now, you've got to think every year we've placed one better every year the past three times we've been. So it's like, it's a steady little like thing. But what's happening now is when you start hitting that point there, it's that little step, isn't it? And his foot's just on that step at the top. You know what I mean? He's there. So, you know, but fair play to Luke. Luke's a phenomenal athlete. You know what I mean? One of the strongest men in the world. It can't be argued. And I've got nothing but respect for Gav for the way he dug in and got stuck in yesterday, because it was a proper, like a heart of a champion's performance. And he was unlucky.
But what an indictment of the British strongman scene, right? That you've got 2 athletes like that going hammering on the phone off to get into the finals of World's Strongest Man.
Oh, it's phenomenal. You know what I
mean? Rude health, I think, is the term.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And I spoke to Gav's wife, and she said Novikov said some really, really nice words to Gav, like, after it and all, and just saying him how much better he's got, how much better a strongman he is, and how he deserves to be in that world's final and all that. And like, Gav will appreciate stuff like that, because one of his biggest things is kind of been, I'm not going to say bother what people think, but sometimes being accepted by your peers is more important than anything.
Valid.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, when your peers actually respect you and know what you're all about, I think that's a massive thing, especially in sport. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, the one thing you can guarantee in any situation where you've got Luke and Gav, there's you're never going to be lacking.
And nobody
heart,
wants them to
passion,
lose
commitment.
either. You don't.
They're
It's not
both
like either way. It's
yeah,
good
I know
and bad at the same
both,
time,
yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I bet the roof came off Area 51 at times. You know what I mean? It's, you know,
mate,
it's,
not
yeah,
half. So yeah, there's that one. So Group 2 was absolutely unreal. And to be fair, Novikov, like if you look at it, Novikov looked like he did what he had to.
Yeah. He's well in. He was well in my view. He was well inside of himself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If he needed to bang out a few more reps or whatever, I think he had it in the tank. He's just doing, and a little bit. That's experience and knowledge, and it's confidence as well in your own ability to be able to kind of turn it on. You might go turn the volume up to 8. You can turn it up to 10 when you need to, but it's understanding what you need to do where, and that kind of. We've all got a gas tank, haven't we? Do you know what I mean? And you've got so much energy you can use, and any kind of wise person will do enough and keep as much as they can.
Yeah, them Ukrainians are just mental, though, aren't they? They're just built differently, aren't they?
And put it in the backdrop of what's going on as well. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God! Honest to God, it's just mental though, because it's just sort of like the thing is a Novikov, right? And he still probably gets it to this day. I don't do it because obviously. I'm not stupid, but some people still underestimate him sometimes, and you're like, how on earth, how the fuck can you underestimate someone like that, man? Like, he's literally won every single title there is to win in this sport. Put it this way, his worst podium is basically second at the Arnold Classic. Oh my God. Ooh, no, I can't believe it. From second. He's won every other major title. He's an absolute animal, man. It's mental, honestly. And he's only 27, 28.
He's put a bit more. I know. He put a little bit of timber on as well, hasn't he? For before this competition, and I don't know whether that was with there being a truck pull and stuff like that. Maybe he's tried to put a little. Maybe I don't know. It's. It didn't seem to. On the loading and stuff like that, didn't seem to slow him down or cause him any problems at all. Because yourself that there's that fine line, isn't there, between being athletic. And having that kind of cardio, but also keeping the power, and it looks like he's kind of hit that sweet spot between the two. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Jesus Christ!
There's no doubt.
It's like nuclear power. That shit.
Yeah. So on Group 2, what did you guys have? Were we all on Alexei to win and Gav and Luke in the?
I said shootout. Remember, I said it's Luke, Gav, or Tom. It was going to be a massive shootout, and I literally couldn't make my mind up on it. It's as simple as that, and that's exactly how it panned out. It all went to the last event. I
mean, Tom Evans. I mean, he had a good couple of days. Do you know what I mean? All the OSG boys. I mean, they turned up and produced the goods, didn't they?
He did. He had an amazing first day. Not the best second day for him, but you know what I mean. That's his first ever World's Strongest Man. He's done absolutely incredible, and he's going to have a great future. He's got a lot of raw talent there. You know what I mean? It's very similar how maybe Bobby was a few years ago, where he's developed as an athlete, and I think Tom will follow that same sort of path, where he's just only going to get better and better. Good young lad into the sport, good new American, as you say, as Brian's starting to leave the sport now, as we'll get onto that in a bit. You know what I mean? You've got these American lads coming through. You've got like Trey, Evan, Tom, Kevin Fairs, Bobby Thompson. You know what I mean? The list goes on. The Americans are great at producing these strong men, and he's another one coming through.
I mean, it's good. It's good to see. That. I mean, we've talked about this previously on these things about that kind of pathway of go to OSG. Get on the podium at OSG, go to Giants, do well, get a slot at Worlds. It's good to see that path kind of come in full circle. When the guys coming through that route and getting there and actually producing the goods and doing really well. So if there's ever any doubt of what to do and how to get there, that's pretty clear for anyone to kind of work out.
Yeah.
Okay, so we jump on to Group 3. So we had a bit of a surprise in here, obviously, with Mateus. You know, I mean, I had him in I had him in second. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's been talked about a fair bit. Obviously, he had a bit of
I
a
felt
ropey
so
start
bad for him, man.
with the low.
I felt so
Confidence,
bad for him.
isn't it? I think I was listening to Loz and Liz talking last night. They were saying the comments that were coming up. It's all about confidence coming back from that injury, and he didn't look confident until we got onto the second day when it was less about raw strength and more about power and manoeuvre. It just seemed that when he got onto Conan's and he got onto the kettlebell toss, he started to kind of come into his own a bit.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard
Yeah,
because when you know what someone's all about, you know what I mean. So, like, say, like mental. Do you think Mateus is still only 29 years old? You know what I mean. He's still very young. The problem is when you know what someone is and you know what they're all about. When you see them kind of underperform, and I know there is obviously coming back from the.
yeah. I mean, you know, especially after the Arnolds as well. You know, the performance he put in there. I think everyone came in expecting him.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, he'll go away and do the work and get himself back and all the rest of the sort of stuff. And I've no doubt he'll have a fantastic, you know, next year and the career kind of going forward. So I mean, obviously, Matt Ragg did really well in that kind of you know, kind of got into the stone off and all that sort of stuff. I mean, Mitch Hooper was always the standout in that group, wasn't he? I don't think anyone was particularly surprised.
Mate, he dropped
that he
1
performed
point
the way that
over
he
the
did.
event. 1 point. That's insane.
Yeah. I mean, that was just on the kick toss where Mateus did 7, wasn't it? So obviously, Ivers, you know, as we kind of predicted, got into the stone off. You know, I hadn't spoken to him today, but I know he had a bit of an injury afterwards. You know, I don't know how bad that is, whether that's something that's going to be a more long-term thing or a short-term kind of injury. You know, it's fingers crossed. It's, you know, it's just a relatively small thing, and he'll be fine. You know, but again, you know, fantastic athlete. You know, and gutting to not see him get through to the
exciting
final.
prospect coming through at the same time, so it's like a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Yeah. There's definitely I wouldn't use the term changing of the guard, but there's an arrival of a new wave of people that are kind of coming into the sport at the elite level. You know, the very top. You know, which is exciting for the fans, for the athletes, and you know, it's the natural. You said about Brian. You know, obviously Brian's retiring this year. Mark Felix is retiring. You know, and it's the natural way of things, isn't it? Is that, you know, new people come in and they become, you know, favourites and start winning stuff, and you know,
totally.
sport grows.
You need that fresh blood coming
so,
through. It keeps it all exciting, doesn't it? But Matt Ragg coming through was our first kind of wild card that was outside of what we thought it was going to play out, wasn't it? Really, you know.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. So, Group 4 was a bit of a rude awakening for everyone with old Jacko Subin coming through.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Fair one.
So, yeah.
Fair one.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
You know,
it's absolutely amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I mean, he came in and was producing the goods all the way through the events. Do you know what I mean? So there was no...
And he didn't... I mean, we've been saying, you know, one of the themes of our podcast has been the way that strongman's changing, and it's leaner, more, you know, athletic-looking athletes and all about the conditioning. He doesn't look like that mould. I mean, he looks like a bear of a man, and he just came in and tore up trees. It was insane.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, and it's like you said about the new blood, like with Matt Ragg and that going through there, and with how do you say his second name? Schoonwinkel. I just call him Mr. Shoe, Mr. Scoo. So that's what I'm going to call him from now on.
Mr.
Shoe.
Winklevicker.
Yeah, absolutely unreal. He's done absolutely class, and I was good to see it. I was gutted for Bish and Kev. I don't know what I don't know what it was this year. It's like it didn't click for them both, and it's horrible because like you know how good they are as well, don't you?
Well, the things that you would expect them to do really well on, like the loading race and stuff like that, you know, they didn't. You know, I think they would probably have wanted to perform better than they did. You know, I mean, it is on the day, and you know, it's no criticism, but you know, it's yeah. I mean, there was a lot of surprises in this group. I mean, obviously Brian and Rano got through to the stone off, which you know was an epic one. Yeah. Yeah, I mean his performance. I mean, you know, I mean, there's no surprise. You know, he's an amazing strongman. Do you know what I mean? But I don't think that when you looked at that group necessarily, he would be the person you would expect to push Brian as hard as he did.
You could see he was absolutely hanging out on that bone lift. It just needed to go an inch more, and it would have gone over.
Rauno's just a hard bastard, though, isn't he? You can start by looking at him.
Yeah. Made of granite for sure. Yeah,
he's just a hard twat. You can just tell just by looking at him. That's just what he is. And like, you aren't getting him out of there easy. Like,
I mean, the look on Brian's face when he dropped the stone the last time, that was relief. You know what I mean? You know, he was just like, thank God for that. Do you know what I mean? Because it was going and going. I mean, and the thing is though, is that, you know, Brian's obviously has had to empty the tank a bit there, like, do you know what I mean? To do that, that's going to have an impact, sort of thing. So, you know, it's you know, fair play to Rano. He pushed him hard, and that's all in that situation. That's all he could do.
That deadlift really. I'm not going to. Sorry, it didn't surprise me because, for God's sake, he's Brian Shaw. But I mean, obviously he's getting a little bit older now. But that deadlift was absolutely awesome, by the way.
I thought he looked leaner than he has done for a long time as well.
He looked really, really good, and obviously we'll get onto this in 5 minutes or so. But some of the events in the final, like, you know, they've got his name written all over them.
Yeah,
1,000,000%.
Yeah, it's a fair point. So I mean, okay, so let's quickly do Group 5, and then we can jump onto the final. So obviously I think we both picked Trey and Evan to go through. Obviously, Ethel was the kind of the other person in the mix, I believe. You know, and it kind of panned out.
Do you know what? That went right down to the final event, and there was like half a point in it going into the kettlebell toss. And
and I mean, I think that I don't know if you've seen a bit of footage of Evan in the tent afterwards. Yeah, I mean, you can see the relief on his face. Do you know what I mean? Like
self pressure and also outside pressure, because obviously, as good as he is, he's never been to a World's Strongest Man final before. Yeah. A man who's won like Giants live shows, etc., and had a really successful sort of strongman career, especially the last few years. He's been absolutely fantastic. Maybe not the past year or so, but he's had problems and injuries and things. You imagine, is it 2 or 3 times he's failed to get through to the final now? Can you imagine that relief off his shoulders because of that? It must be amazing. That's one of the lads I was so happy to see him through. It's really nice to see that because, you know, like, he is an elite level strongman, and I'm really, really happy for him that he's got through.
He's just got my word of caution there, and he won't listen to me because I'm nobody, but it's the emotional energy getting through that gate and getting into the final. He's got to make sure that wasn't his summit, and can he go again?
Yeah.
Can he regroup, get his mind right, get rested, get hydrated, get his nutrition on point, and then go again? You know what I mean? Because that would have been such a mental hurdle for him to get over. You know, it
could also be the way around where he's like, God, finally I've done it. Now I haven't got as much pressure on myself no more.
Exactly. Yeah, I've got that monkey off my back. I go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that emotional. It's that emotional release, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of like
we actually had this conversation this morning, me, Loz, and Dan, about different athletes and how they all do things differently. So, like, you might get someone like a Trey or a Tom. They're very relaxed, very calm. But then you get someone like an Evan who's severely serious, and or like a Bobby who's like quite intense. Every single athlete has their own way of doing things, and that's how people deal with sort of like, it's like a fight or flight, isn't it? Everyone's got their own way of dealing with things, and that's what makes this sport. I'll always say this sport's full of weirdos. We're all weird, and it's true. You know what I mean? We've all got our pros and cons, and all of us are weird, and that's why we love it.
Yeah, I think it, you know, in lots of ways, I think most people that love this sport would have been happy to see Evan go through for all those reasons. Just, you know, to get that monkey off his back. You know, we all know how good he is. You know, and to get him into the final, and you know, just you know, I'm sure he'll go in there and smash it. You know, there's some decent events in there.
Call it final.
You know,
please.
Yeah. Cool. So right, so just to recap, so Group 1, Pavel K go through, Tom Stoltman go through. Group 2, Lexi Novacroft, Luke Stoltman. Group 3, Mitch Hooper, Matt Ragg. Group 4, Jackal Schoonwinkle, Brian Shaw. Group 5, Trey Mitchell and Everett Singleton. Now, that's a hell of a lineup.
Naughty.
Are we going to do a nod to the legend that is Mark Felix?
Yes, of course. You know, it's yeah. I mean, he's, you know, I think we kind of touched on it previously, but you know, what I mean, the longevity of and the level that man has been at for all this time is amazing. To any, I think as much to anyone that's done strongman and actually physically competed and trained for it, to kind of, you have a little bit of an extra understanding of how difficult it is to keep yourself at that level and the impact on your body. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of, it's huge. You know, I've got nothing but respect for Mark. You know, he's an amazing guy. You know, and you know, long may that kind of continue, sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, it's the natural way of things, as you say, people coming in and out of the sport, but certainly you know, a name that will be remembered. And you know, if there's a Hall of Fame that gets started up, Mark Felix needs to get his ass in there for the first one in the list.
If there was a format home ground, you'd have the Mark Felix stand in it.
Agree. Cheers, Mark.
Yes, mate. Yeah, top man. So events in the final. Let's jump onto that then. So we've got Fingles Fingers, the Kanak deadlift, the range shield carry, max dumbbell, vehicle push, and atlas stones. So, you know, kind of comparing what we've got there against the guys that have gone through. You know, we need to kind of start thinking about who we think is going to do well in what area. So, you know, I mean, taking the Fingles Fingers, for example, it's not something that's been done that much these last couple of years. I mean, I know that Brian's got a set, you know, and has all the, you know, the physical tools. You know, he's big, powerful. You know, this is one of those events where being taller, I think,
second
helps.
Part of the lift, certainly. On the first part of the lift, it's almost the opposite, because you want those shorter levers and that strong posterior chain to get it moving. But yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? But I've seen Mitch doing some stuff on Instagram, training in the gym with a rigged up Fingles, and he looked good. Yeah. He's just so explosive. If you can get it to that halfway point quickly, they seem to burn out less slowly. Does that make sense? Does that make any sense, what I just said?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I mean, the thing is, though, is you can look at all of these events and look at the people, and they're all going to be good at them. There isn't, you know, I mean, you could sort of say maybe the deadlift, obviously, you know, Pavel K is kind of, you know, maybe not as strong a deadlift as some of the other people in that group. But, you know, again, has really good other events. So, do you know what I mean? It's, you know, I was kind of sat before this session, kind of looking at the events and looking at the people, and just really struggling. I don't know if you guys have kind of got your predictions in your head of what you think is. Yeah. I mean, I know what I think, but I've gone
I'm not
backwards
saying
and
this is
forwards,
exactly what's going to happen,
because I'm kind of.
I've got every event, and I've given the three who I think are going to come in the top three in every single event. But it doesn't mean it's going to happen. I've got my reasons for and against, but you know what I mean? I just think it's a bit of fun, isn't it? Right, so
well,
you guys can jump in and give us like a little thing, what you think, you know what I mean? I do like when you get grown up, it's not an argument, it's called a discussion, remember? Remember that one. And if you in the comments want to join in as well and think I'm talking a lot of shite, then that's fine as well. I don't mind. So
we need a shit emoji.
If you think I'm talking shite, as per usual, just put a shit emoji. If you think I'm not talking shite, just give us a thumbs up. So for the Fingles Fingers, I think the guys to watch out for the Fingles Fingers, my top three, and that would be Brian Shaw, Tom, and Trey Mitchell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
I know
Alexi's not as tall, but I think Alexi will be good at that.
Even like the likes of Evan, etc. You know what I mean? It's not me saying no. I just think, especially with the likes of Shaw and Tom, the height of them, and Trey's got extreme. Trey is very mobile, and also he's really, really good overhead as well. I just think he's got that really strong upper back, and he can really power through it. So I've gone for Shaw, Tom, and Trey on that one, just off those reasons.
It's going to be about efficiency of movement, isn't it? You think if Tom and Brian, they've got maybe 3 palms and then it's upright. Do you know what I mean? They've got those long levers. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a pretty solid pick. I mean, you know, when you kind of there are, you know, you got Jacko and Matt Ragg, who are a bit of an unknown quantity there. Do you know what I mean?
But you know, like you just said there, though, you never know. Even like the athleticism of Pablo could really do him some justice in that as well. You just don't know. But unless you've actually seen someone on it, it's quite difficult to say. And like you said, Novikov, sharp, fast. You know, even Evan. You know what I mean? You don't know. But I've gone Shaw, Tom, and Trey on that.
Did they do singles at Europes? They did, didn't they?
When?
No, it wasn't this year. No.
This year, no, not this year. Yeah. I mean, the only person that really has a lot of form on it is Brian, because of it, just for the longevity of his career.
He was amazing at the figures was Mariusz Pudzianowski.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, because he wasn't the biggest guy either, was he?
Some good. Yeah, he done really well on them. Yeah. Absolutely unbelievable. So yeah, those are my little things on that. I don't know what you agree with or not, but you know.
Yeah, no, I think it's a pretty sound pick, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, they would be the, I was kind of umming and ahhing about Evan, but it's one of those things that there's quite a thin margin.
You know what I mean? Sometimes it can.
You can get it wrong quite spectacularly if you get your hand placement wrong or all that sort of stuff.
I've used them before.
I mean, as with all these things, have I? Yeah, I've had a go. Not on the sort of size of them that we're talking about here, but on smaller versions of it, yeah.
Because you're sort of like halfway between getting it over and halfway dropping it on yourself. And it's sort of like, shoulder hurts, my tricep hurts,
there's a big risk
and my hips going into cramp. I don't know what to do. Do I move out the way and hurt someone behind me? I don't know what to do. Do I keep pushing it over? It's really awful. It's not very nice.
Yeah. So I think we're pretty much all agreed on those three. They're thereabouts. I think it's a fair one.
You go first.
On to the next one, on to the deadlift. So I'm going to go with, I think Alexi will go in there. I think Mitch will definitely be there. And I'm going to go with Tom.
Oh, you picked exactly the same as me.
For that one.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I've got Mitchell Hooper, because he's just, I've watched him in training, mate, and he's just tearing up trees on that. Novikov next, because he's just so efficient at it. Outside of Adam Bishop, he's probably the most efficient deadlifter in that group. And yeah, I'm torn between Brian and Tom. I think Brian will just go all the gas. I mean, you watch Brian deadlift, it doesn't look like it should work because he's got quite a wide stance and all the rest of it. But he's just been doing it for years and it's natural. I'm torn between Brian and Tom for the third place on there, but I think any one of those four are just going to be in the mix. Any of them really, but they're my 4 picks really. I know it's 4.
Yeah, I think Evan's done a good job of that as well. Evan's got that really wild mental deadlift technique where he just rips it. You know, it's just one of them. Is it with those knack boxes again this year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Was that 350 or 360 between that, innit?
Yeah, it's around that mark. Yeah, I think it's 360.
Something like
maybe.
that. So I think we're all up there with the same sort of people on that as well.
But we've not seen Jacko. We don't know what Jacko's going to do there, do we?
No, but we've all said this. We've all said this. That's because we don't have anything really to go off, and that's fair. You know what I mean? We're not counting them out. Just we don't really have much to go off on that. So I hope the two prove us wrong.
I mean, he's got to be in all. He's got to be in all the conversations because of his performance in the groups. Do you know what I mean? You know, that's really the information we've got to pull upon. So next one then is the range shield carry. Rob, do you want to go first on this one?
I'm going with Tom. And I'm picking purely on long arms. you get your arms around and lock your arms around that carry. It's such an advantage, and you can then actually breathe while you're doing it. The smaller guys, they're going to have to, their grip's going to be different. It's going to be bearing down on their chest. They're going to be an oxygen deficiency. So I'm just going for Tom. Tom is my number one. And then any of the taller, Kordiaka's pretty good. He's quite tall. He's quite athletic. So I think it could be Kordiaka, Tom, and then Brian's got to be in the mix as well. Just it suits his body shape.
So I think Kordiaka will win this purely just because of his athleticism, and he's got gas for days. Do you know what I mean? So he will hold on. Alexi again is going to be in the mix there as well, and I'm gonna throw one out there, and I'm going to go with
good shout. Yeah. That's fine. Good shout. That's a good shout. I've gone Tom, Hooper, and Novikov on that.
Yeah, I just think any of the more barrel-chested guys, being a barrel-chested guy with a bit of a pick, so the guys that are a bit more like my shape. When I've had that horrible rancid bag that you gave me, 80, which is about kilos up on my chest, it is vile, and you just feel like you can't breathe. So I'm just basing it on that. That's my.
I've not personally seen Pavlo do it, but obviously, if he's good at corners and things, I know you're not holding it the same, but he's obviously got that kind of.
Yeah.
He's got it. You know what I mean? He can dig deep. Novikov, he's had some mixed results in that, but he's one of those people who can turn up in the day and smash it. I think Hooper at the Rogue was absolutely amazing. The one thing I've seen him do, I know it was a sandbag Husabelt, but still.
Yeah.
And he beat Novikov on that day. And Tom, obviously, because we've seen him do it at Giants Live, he's got the world record on the Giants Live implement itself. So for me, those are kind of like a no-brainer sort of picks on that one.
Okay, so there's on to the second day then.
Not
so
even a
we've
question
got Max Dumbbell. Yeah, I think we all know it's Alexi, don't we?
There's only one person in the world who's beaten him on a single arm dumbbell, and that's Prime Mateus. Like, you've got to think Novikov's the guy who's done like a 140 dumbbell in a ladder. Like, how? My God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, do you know the dumbbells are awkward? Have you seen the size of them? They're massive.
Yeah,
so I don't know how much that's
chunky,
going to affect it in his hand.
Yeah.
But like I say, I just think, for me, Novikov and Pavlo, because Ukrainians are single-arm dumbbell press. It's not called the single-arm dumbbell press. It's called the Ukrainian single-arm dumbbell press. It's going to be them two in there. And I think Trey Mitchell will pull something out of the bag on that.
Yeah. I mean, I would agree with the first two. I think this will be Tom's weakest event in the final because I know he's been working hard on it, but traditionally he's not great at dumbbell. And so the two Ukrainians, and I'm going to put Mitch Hooper in third.
Yeah. I think it doesn't suit the taller athletes. Purely the physics. He's got longer to move. He's got longer to travel. Do you know what I mean? Unless you can get under it and really power it up, and it's just a bit more of a physics come into it. Then, don't they? When you're up in the top weights. So Novikov has got the perfect body shape and disposition for that for me.
So the next one is the vehicle push. Now I haven't actually seen the equipment for this, so I don't know, Dale, if you've seen it, but it's a bit of a. I'm kind of judging on general, but I mean these kind of things tend to kind of benefit or tend to be favoured by the bigger guys. So you're kind of your Brian Shaws and people like that have got the mass. Kind of the mass and the power to kind of push it. Yeah. I'm not sure. I think Dale's frozen, so I'm not sure if maybe he'll come back in a second. So but I think Brian would be my top pick for that. I think Evan will do well at this as well, just pure from that combination of power and dynamism. And I'm going to go with Tom as well in my top three.
Yeah. This is always a weird one for me, because you make a prediction on a truck push or a truck and it goes out the window. I'm just thinking back to Romania, where people that you would have buttoned on getting the truck moving and pulling it fast didn't even get it to move an inch. So I think that's a real tough one. I think I'm going to go with Brian on this. I'm sounding like a Brian fan. I'm going to go with Brian and Tom as my top two picks for that, just for sheer raw determination. And Yeah, if their conditioning's on point and they don't gas out, I think they'll post good times.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think Del, you back with us, mate?
He's there. I can see him.
He's there. I can see him, but I'm not sure if I re-invited him, but he's frozen up. So
You are.
Am I back?
No, are you there? Yeah, you're back in, mate. Back in. We just did our predictions for the truck push. What's your top three, mate?
Oh.
Okay, well, let's just say he agrees with me then.
Oh no, he's back now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You back? Yeah, you're back now, mate. You keep coming in and then freezing.
Fucking council estate Wi-Fi, man.
Top your picks, mate, for the truck push.
Shaw, Novikov, and Hooper.
Okay. Yeah. It's did you hear the ones that Rob and I did? Did you, or were you off?
Nah, mate, he's just stuttering like hell.
There's nothing wrong with the Wi-Fi, mate. It's just me. I can't talk on my life. So it takes us on to the last one, which is then obviously the Atlas Stones. And I think it's hard to see past Tom on this. You know, I think most people would kind of could assume that.
Evan's pretty good at Stones.
He's
in my three.
Yeah.
He's in my three. I've got Tom, Trey, and Evan.
Yeah. I think Trey would definitely be there. I mean, Evan's a good shout. I wondered whether, do you know what I mean, whether there might be someone that will come out of the blue that, you know, we're not expecting. You know, maybe one of the newer guys might possibly step up. But yeah, I think Tom and Trey will be the top two, and I think, you know, they're good Stones as well. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's as with all these events, it's a mixed bag. It could be lots of bits going in. So okay, so
Dave's getting some abuse for his mobile signal in the chat, mate.
So I'm aware we've got our special reporter coming with us in a second. Then, so we're going to go for predictions. Who do we think the top three is going to be?
Hooper, Tom, and Alexei in no order, because I can't say.
I'm absolutely bobbed on with all that. Yeah, I couldn't put any more in that.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, I think I would love to see Paul K in there. I think he's a chat. I mean, there's, you know, I mean, you could almost kind of pick five. You know, if you threw Brian and Paul K in there as well, I think I would go for a top. I'd go for a top five, and they could be in any order.
Totally agree, mate. Totally agree. I just think on their best day at the moment, Novikov, Tom, Hooper, and I'd throw Trey in there. I think they're the best four strongmen in the world right now, currently.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I generally can't pick a winner. Do you know what I'm saying? I'd love to see Tom get that third title. Hooper looks like a man possessed. Novikov's an absolute machine, but then Trey just sort of chips away. And sometimes Trey doesn't get as much attention as he deserves because he's not that sort of person. You don't see a lot about him. You know what I mean? He's not out there in like social media and stuff. He just does his job very, very well. And you know, dangerous man. He's a dangerous man.
Yeah, it's kind of probably the wrong term, but like a silent assassin. He just goes about his business. You know, kind of doesn't do anything. You know, doesn't talk a lot about it, and just turns up on the day and smashes it.
Yeah,
so
he's won two massive internationals for a reason. You know what I mean? He's won the Shaw Classic twice, and I just think, you know, he's a dangerous man. I think if that deadlift isn't in there, because we've got that many good deadlifters in the group, I think Pablo's got a great chance. I just think that deadlift might cost him too many points with the wealth of good deadlifters in that group. I think that's my only thing for him not getting on the podium.
Yeah. I think that'll be his undoing. I think he'll do well in all of them. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think he'll definitely, in my eyes, he'll definitely be in the top five.
Yeah.
Which you know, for him is amazing.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? It's kind of a fantastic result. You know, I mean, we've talked about this a little bit before about you know, I saw a few comments, people going, oh, you know, where's he come from and all this sort of stuff, which is mad. You know, it's like how could you not not know about him or not, it just seems really odd to me. Like, but I guess different people get seen different ways. But obviously now being Europe's strongest man and obviously performing as well as he did, winning his group and all that sort of stuff, then he's going to his visibility will be a lot higher, sort of thing. So I'm just trying to invite our travelling supporter, our travelling reporter from Myrtle Beach.
Is it Paro Dwyer?
He's in the chat earlier.
He was in the chat earlier on.
Doing a bit of reconnaissance there to see what we're saying about him. Or he's going to play.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised he just didn't call me a cunt or something. That's what he normally would do.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, it's still quite early out there. It's what, 10 to 8 in the morning.
I've probably been up
Something
like drinking, man.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I don't know. He may or may not be able to join us, sort of thing. Like, but I've sent out the invite. But you'll probably find he'll join us. He'll be in his pants.
Or no pants.
Well, yeah, this could go 18 plus.
This could become the unbroadcastable promotions.
yeah. X-rated.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I think those picks are probably pretty similar to what a lot of other people would have picked. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think we've gone anywhere too kind of revolutionary, outside of the box there, sort of thing. But I think it's just generally. I mean, okay, so who would you say is the biggest surprise that you've
South
seen
African
in the
geezer,
groups?
Jacko Winkle picker, Shundle Winkle. That for me, I didn't see that come in. That's a real. He's pulled a blinder there. He's kept it low and then
Real
straight in.
For me, it's Rauno's performance. That's my standout performance of World's Strongest Man this year so far. I just think he's done absolutely incredible. And you've got to think Rauno's 41 years age, maybe 2. It's his first time at Worlds in 11 or 12 years. I thought he done absolutely incredible. And there's not many men in the world who'll keep up with Brian Shaw on the stones like that either. I'll be honest with you, Rauno for me, I was really, really, really impressed.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Rauno had been in a stone off with pretty much anyone else apart from Trey, or Tom, I think he would have probably have gone through. And I know there's still weird fans.
Oh yeah, but it's fantasy, isn't it? It's good. That's what this is all about. Talking shit.
Yeah. So obviously they're all on a rest day today, as we all know. So I'm sure there'll be a few bodies being patched up and people getting there. I spoke to Pablo last night, and he's looking forward to a bit of rest and some time off, and getting ready.
He's full of shit. He'd do it straight away today. He's mental. He absolutely loves it. Pablo's one of those ones who's like, oh God, I feel really tired. I've only had 1 hour's sleep. Bang, 140.
I'll tell you who else is like that. Ivers. Just moaned about how much sleep he hadn't had at SCO England last year, and then absolutely just come out of the blocks and smashed it out of the park. He was actually better for being jet lagged.
Weird, aren't they?
Yeah.
Strong men are weird. It's a fact.
Yeah, well, you got to be a bit. I guess I was going to say tapped in the head, but you got to, you got to enjoy putting yourself through that kind of that adversity and that challenge and all that sort of stuff. So all those things are.
There's the biggest weirdo there, Ben Joyce. He's the only man in the world who actually enjoys spreadsheets and gets something out of it.
The world's strongest scorer.
Yeah.
Ben and I have a weird connection that I don't think he's aware of. We're both patrons of the Joe Marler podcast, weirdly, and get mentioned out.
Hell.
Yeah, I don't know why that's important, but apparently we are.
Yeah.
Bloody hell!
So
That's a revelation. That's a revelation if I've heard one.
Right, well, I don't know. It doesn't look like Kane Francis was going to be joining us as our roving reporter. I think he's probably still getting his head down. So, understandable, I guess, in a way. But
Look at Eddie, he's got in now.
He's
got a little surprise for everyone.
I know. He's
got us
never worked with animals or children. That's the problem.
We're going to get a super star. No, you've got 2 half a stars at the bottom. Unlucky me.
Yeah. No, I mean, it would be interesting just to kind of get his take on, you know, being in and around World's Strongest Man, you know, what it's like to be there as an athlete, you know, and all that sort of stuff. Like, so, you know, obviously, you know, for whatever reason, we haven't been able to do that, but you know, it is what it is, sort of thing. So I think we're all pretty agreed on our final predictions, what we think is going to be coming through. So, I mean, thanks very much, guys. Appreciate you joining us again. We'll all be watching, I'm sure, with you know, keen to see what the results will be and all that sort of stuff. Like, and just, you know, it's been really good. Thanks very much for joining us. Appreciate it. Everyone that's kind of logged on and has watched us, thanks very much. And we'll close it down there. So,
See you later.
See you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.